Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So it's been a while since I last did a sit down video because my neighbors for the past few months or so, they keep on knocking and doing their constructions next door. Now it's dead, so all the workers have gone back to their hometowns and it's so
quiet, guys. So quiet. I love it.
Anyway, I thought it would be a good idea to sit down and share with you guys some of the things that I've noticed that I tend to take for granted when I'm traveling overseas. So basically things that I miss about Vietnam when I am going back to Singapore, when I'm traveling overseas for a long period of time. It will be a very quick video, so let's get straight into it, guys. First thing that I tend to take for granted is the early opening hours of all the shops here in Vietnam. So as some of you guys may know, Vietnam in general is like an early bird country. Everything opens so early. Like if you go out onto the streets at 5:30 in the morning, you'll see people exercising, you'll see the wet markets being open. So people here wake up very early, especially the elderlies. Like they wake up super early, whereas people our generation or my generation, we tend to wake up later, like let's say 7, 8 or even more. Anyway, most of the coffee shops and breakfast places open by 7. Like that's a given. So if I step out at let's say 7 o'clock and I want to eat something or I want to drink something, there will be at least 1 or 2 shops that are open. But I realized I've been taking this for granted because when I traveled overseas and I went out at 8 o'clock, like most shops open at 10, 11. So I was pretty devastated. Okay, to be fair, the shopping malls in Vietnam open at 9:30 as well, but like they are quite punctual most of the time. So all the shops, like the fashion shops, they open at 9:30 or 9 o'clock, whereas in like other countries I've been to, they say they open at 10, but by 11 o'clock it's still closed. I feel like Saigon is a city that never sleeps at all. Like you can stay up really late and there will still be a shop that's open at midnight, and at the same time if you wake up early, you will still find a shop that is open for you. So yes, early opening times, I kind of miss that whenever I'm going overseas. Second thing that I miss about Vietnam when I'm traveling overseas for a long period of time is the food. And while I really like to try out new cuisines whenever I'm traveling, I think somewhere in my heart it still yearns for Vietnamese food, like especially when I'm traveling for a long period of time, let's say 1 month or so. I'm not talking about 1 week, I'm talking about like more than a month. I tend to really miss Vietnamese food. And there are 2 things that I miss about Vietnamese food. Number 1 is the flavor, and number 2 is actually the portion size. So there are 2 components to flavor. Firstly, it's the ingredients that they use, and secondly, spices that they use. So in Vietnamese cuisine, like they use a lot of fresh herbs, a lot of vegetables, and I tend to miss that. I know that other countries do use vegetables in their cuisines, but I feel like in Vietnamese cuisines, sometimes the vegetables become the highlight of that dish, and also the fruits. Oh yeah, there are just so many ways to eat fruits, bro. Whether it's in your chai, whether it's chopped up and you dip it into like those kind of chili salt and eat it as a savory snack. And I really miss like the freshness of the vegetables. I do feel like Vietnam is blessed with a lot of fresh ingredients, which leads me to the second component, which are the spices. So how the Vietnamese flavor their food, I don't know. It's like there's this very clear flavor to it, so it's not so overbearing. Sometimes it's not overpowered by a certain spice. It's a very balanced flavor. Like instead of putting sugar into your broth all the time, what they can do to achieve a certain sweetness level, what they can do is to actually boil the pork or the chicken stock, like the bones, overnight to achieve that sweetness. It takes more time to prepare for the food, but it achieves this really distinct flavor. Of course, there are exceptions to this flavor palette thing. So for example, fish sauce or shrimp paste, I know those can be quite overbearing, but when used in small amounts, it's fine. You guys don't need to like dip the whole thing into the paste or the sauce. And there are just so many different sauces for things. Like
this dish goes with this sauce and that dish goes with the other sauce.
So it's very flavorful. Another thing that I miss about Vietnamese food is the portion size. I know, guys. Like whenever I'm traveling overseas, I feel like I can never finish whatever I'm eating. I think maybe because the portion size in Vietnam is small and I'm accustomed to that small portion size, so whenever I'm traveling overseas, I feel like ordering the kids meal because then I wouldn't waste food. Whenever I'm like going out with my friends overseas, they're like, Joyce,
why can't you finish the food?
Third thing that I miss about Vietnam when I'm traveling overseas is the head massages at the salon, guys, and just probably the hospitality and service industry in general. Like for 30 to 50,000 dong, you can get a very decent hair wash and head massage. Plus also sometimes they might wash your face as well. So that's like 3 things in one.
50,000 dong, guys. 50,000 dong.
Even stepping into a normal salon overseas, I feel like they're just there to do their job. Cut your hair, wash your hair, out you go. But in Vietnam, I feel like they really take their time. The head massages can last from 15 to 30 minutes depending on the places you go to, but it's just really relaxing. Kind of sucks when I go overseas and when I wash my hair, I don't get the same like amount of attention on my scalp. And like I've mentioned before, it's not only about the head massages, but also like the service industry in general. For example, your nails, spas, beauty clinics, all of these places, they do really take their time. And for the price you pay, good deal. Fourth thing that I miss about Vietnam is actually a cafe culture. And I'm not saying that other countries' cafe culture is boring. I think each country has a very unique culture to it. I feel like for Vietnam, its cafe culture is always changing. It's very dynamic and there are just so many varieties to it. So you can have roadside coffee shops to really, you know, luxurious experiences in cafe boutiques. But yeah, I think it's just the novelty of it. Like there's always something new in Vietnam's cafe culture. It's a good and bad thing. Good thing is that it gives the customers a variety of experiences and choices, but the bad thing is that because it's always changing, competition is just really intense and cutthroat. For the past 3 years doing YouTube, I realized that a lot of the cafes that I've been to previously in my previous videos, they either close down or, you know, they go out of business. Some still manage to stay strong and hold on, but you never know. You never know about the future. Last but not least, something that I really miss whenever I'm going overseas is actually wearing my pajamas out in public without getting judged. Well, not really pajamas, but they're like these clothes. We call it dobo. I've mentioned it in my previous videos before. It's like these pattern clothes, you know, matching shirt and pants, and they just look very, I don't know how to say, like I wouldn't wear this when I'm traveling overseas. I would probably only wear it at home. But seriously guys, you should definitely own a pair of dobo because it's super comfortable. It's like your Vietnamese version of sweatpants and hoodies when you go out to the supermarkets overseas. Anyway, that's all for today's video. Plus, these days I've not been out for quite some time just because of the coronavirus outbreak. While things in Vietnam are not as serious as this current situation in China, still people are taking precautions and they're wearing masks in public places. So I'm very thankful to everyone here who are wearing masks. I think most of them are in Saigon. So you wouldn't see me going to places at least for another week. Because I'm only going to places that I need to go to instead of exploring. So bear with me. There's just a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty. Hopefully things will improve and I will see you in my next video, guys. Remember to subscribe and ciao. Bye-bye.